Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into a tale as old as the earth itself, where a single pomegranate changes everything. Picture yourself standing on a cracked, dusty plain under a sky heavy with clouds. The air smells faintly of iron and moss, and somewhere below, the underworld hums with secrets. You're about to follow Persephone, a goddess who probably didn't expect her life to hinge on a handful of ruby-red seeds. Spoiler, you probably won't survive a day in her world. Gods, mortals, or fruit, everyone's got a role to play, and the rules are brutal. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I love knowing where you're drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're not in Kansas anymore, or even ancient Greece, for that matter. You're descending, slowly, into the underworld. The ground beneath your feet feels spongy, like it's holding its breath. The air grows cooler, heavier, carrying whispers of forgotten names. This is Hades' realm, a place where light doesn't dare linger. You squint, catching glints of obsidian walls that stretch into forever. Rivers snake through the gloom, Styx, Acheron, their waters sluggish, like they're too tired to flow. You hear a faint drip, 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 echoing off stalactites. It's not exactly cozy, but there's a strange calm here, like the world above is just a fever dream. Mainstream fact, the underworld in Greek myth wasn't just a spooky basement for dead souls. It was a structured realm with regions like Elysium for heroes and Tartarus for the worst of the worst. Persephone's arrival, though, shakes things up. You sense it already, the air's different, charged, like someone important just walked in. Historians still argue whether Persephone was a victim or a willing player in her story. Some say she was kidnapped, others whisper she chose her path. For now, you're just a guest, picking your way through the shadows. You spot a figure ahead, barely visible in the mist. It's her, Persephone, though you wouldn't know it yet. She's not the queen you might expect, not yet draped in power. Her steps are light, almost curious, like she's wandered into the wrong neighborhood. You follow, keeping your distance. The ground crunches underfoot, gravel, maybe, or ancient bones. You're not sure, and honestly, you don't want to look too closely. A faint glow clings to her, like she's carrying a piece of the sun. It's out of place here, and you can't help but wonder what she's doing in this eternal night. Here's a quirky tidbit: the Greeks believed the underworld had its own ecosystem, complete with ghostly plants that thrived without sunlight. Imagine pale, waxy flowers that smell like regret. You catch a whiff of something similar now, mingling with the damp. It's not unpleasant, just unsettling. You glance at Persephone again. She's pausing, her head tilted, like she's hearing something you can't. Maybe it's Hades, or maybe it's just the underworld whispering its rules. You're not sure you'd want to hear it either. Joke time: why did the underworld hire Persephone? Because she brought a little spark to the place, literally. Okay, maybe not literally, but you get it. You keep moving, staying close to the walls. The air's getting thicker, and you're starting to feel like you're trespassing. Every step echoes, and you swear something's watching you. Not hostile, just curious. You're in Persephone's story now, and the underworld's taking notes. You pass a cluster of shades, ghostly figures drifting aimlessly. They don't notice you, but you feel their presence, like a cold draft. One's muttering about a life left behind, another's just staring into the void. You wonder if they know what's coming, how Persephone's about to flip their world upside down. The path narrows, and you're forced closer to her. She's humming softly, a tune that feels oddly familiar, like a lullaby you can't quite place. It's soothing, but there's an edge to it, like she's bracing for something. The walls pulse faintly, as if the underworld itself is alive. You're not sure if it's welcoming you or warning you to turn back. Either way, you're too deep to stop now. Persephone's glow is brighter, cutting through the fog. You're starting to see why she doesn't quite fit here, she's too alive, too vibrant. But that pomegranate? Oh, it's waiting. You can almost taste its tart promise, even from here. You're still trailing Persephone through the underworld's murky haze, but now your attention snags on something small, glinting in the dim light. It's a pomegranate, or at least the idea of one, perched on a jagged outcrop like it grew there. Its skin is impossibly red, glowing faintly, as if it's hoarding all the color this place lacks. You pause, feeling a tug of curiosity. This fruit isn't just a snack, it's a trap, a symbol, a cosmic contract. You're about to learn why the pomegranate holds such strange power in Persephone's story, and trust me, it's weirder than you'd expect for a fruit you might toss in a smoothie. The air around the pomegranate feels heavy, like it's bending the rules of this place. You inch closer, half expecting it to vanish. It doesn't. Instead, it seems to hum, a low vibration you feel in your chest. You're not sure if it's calling to Persephone or warning her, but it's definitely not ordinary. You glance at her, she's further ahead, oblivious for now, her glow still slicing through the gloom. You wonder if she senses it yet, the way this fruit's about to rewrite her life. Mainstream fact, in Greek mythology, the pomegranate was more than a plot device. It was a sacred symbol of fertility, death, and rebirth, tied to gods like Demeter and Hera long before Persephone's tale. Its seeds, bursting with juice, were seen as life itself, but also a tie to the earth's darker cycles. Here, in the underworld, it's a one-way ticket. You're starting to get why eating down here is a bad idea, nothing's free, not even a snack. Historians still argue whether the pomegranate's role was purely symbolic or a nod to real ancient rituals. Some say it represented marriage contracts, others think it was about defying death. Either way, you're staring at the thing, and it's giving you the creeps. You can almost smell it, sweet, tart, with a metallic undertone, like blood mixed with sugar. You shake your head, trying to focus. This isn't your story, but you're caught in its pull. Here's a quirky tidbit: ancient Greeks sometimes used pomegranate juice as a dye for sacred cloths, believing it carried divine essence. Imagine priests in robes stained red, looking like they just lost a food fight with a goddess. You chuckle under your breath, but the sound echoes too loudly, bouncing off the obsidian walls. You freeze, hoping Persephone didn't hear. She doesn't turn, but the shades nearby stir, their hollow eyes flicking your way. Great, now you're on the underworld's radar. You step back from the pomegranate, keeping it in your peripheral vision. It's not just a fruit, it's a loaded gun. You start to notice others, tucked into crevices or dangling from ghostly vines. The underworld's practically littered with them, like someone's been planting temptation. You wonder if Hades set this up, or if the place itself is conspiring. Either way, you're not touching one. You've seen enough myths to know better. Joke time: why's the pomegranate the underworld's favorite fruit? Because it's got seeds of drama. You smirk, but the humor doesn't quite land in this heavy air. You keep moving, catching up to Persephone. She's slowed down, her humming softer now, like she's sensing something. The path widens into a cavern, and you see more of those eerie plants from before, pale, waxy, curling toward the pomegranates like they're worshipping them. It's unsettling, but oddly beautiful, like a garden designed by a goth florist. You're starting to piece it together: the pomegranate's power isn't just about taste. It's about choice, consequence, maybe even defiance. You glance at Persephone again. She's stopped, her fingers brushing the air, as if she feels the fruit's presence. You wonder what she's thinking. Does she know what's coming? You're tempted to call out, but your voice catches. This isn't your place to interfere. The underworld's rules are older than you, and they don't bend for mortals. The cavern's walls shimmer faintly, reflecting Persephone's glow. You notice carvings, spirals, seeds, figures with outstretched hands. They're ancient, older than the myths you know, and they all point to the pomegranate. You feel a chill, realizing this story's been told before, maybe in 1,000 different ways. You're just here for one version, but it's already pulling you deeper. The fruit's still there, watching, waiting. You hope Persephone keeps walking. You're still in the underworld's shadowy grip, but now you're stepping out of its gloom, as if the story's rewinding. You're above ground, in a sun-drenched meadow where the air smells of wildflowers and warm earth. Persephone's here, but she's different, younger, lighter, no trace of the underworld's weight on her. You're about to wander through her carefree days, back when she was just a goddess frolicking in fields, not yet tangled in pomegranates or Hades' schemes. This is her life before everything changed, and it's so peaceful you almost forget what's coming. Almost. You follow her through the grass, your bare feet brushing against soft clover. The sky's a ridiculous blue, like it's showing off. Persephone's laughing, chasing a butterfly that's clearly not impressed by her divine status. She's all energy, her hair catching the sunlight, her dress rippling like a wheat field. You can't help but smile. She's the kind of person who'd make you feel like the world's one big picnic. You half expect her to start braiding flower crowns, and honestly, she probably will. Mainstream fact, Persephone, known as Kore in her youth, was the daughter of Demeter, goddess of agriculture, and Zeus, king of the gods. Her early myths paint her as a symbol of spring, all growth and innocence, tied to the earth's bounty. You see it now. Every step she takes seems to coax new sprouts from the soil. The meadow's practically glowing, like it's trying to keep up with her. But you know this can't last. That butterfly's days are numbered. Historians still argue whether Persephone's carefree phase was pure myth or a reflection of ancient Greek girls' lives before marriage. Some say her story mirrors how young women were taken from their mothers into new roles. You watch her twirl, oblivious, and feel a pang. She's got no idea what's waiting. You want to warn her, but you're just a shadow here, tagging along in her golden hour. Quirky tidbit, ancient Greeks believed meadows like this were sacred to Demeter and her daughter, often hosting festivals where girls danced to honor them. Imagine a bunch of teens in togas, giggling and tripping over their own feet. You spot a group in the distance, their voices carrying faintly, like an echo of those rituals. Persephone waves at them, and they wave back, starstruck. You chuckle, she's basically the goddess equivalent of a hometown celebrity. Joke time, why was Persephone so bad at hide-and-seek? Because her glow gave her away every time. You stifle a laugh, not wanting to disturb the scene. The meadow's buzzing with life, bees hum, a stream gurgles nearby, and the air's so warm you're tempted to lie down and nap. But you keep moving, staying close to Persephone. She's picking flowers now, humming that same tune you heard in the underworld. It's softer here, happier, but it still carries that strange edge. You notice the flowers she's gathering, poppies, narcissus, their petals vivid against her hands. You remember those ghostly plants from the underworld, the ones that smelled like regret. These are their opposites, bursting with life, but you can't shake the feeling they're connected. Everything in this story seems to loop back eventually. You glance at the sky, half expecting it to crack open. It doesn't, but the air shifts, a faint chill creeping in. You're not sure if it's your imagination or a hint of what's to come. Persephone flops onto the grass, staring at the clouds. You sit nearby, keeping your distance. She's talking to herself, or maybe to the flowers, about nothing in particular, how the wind feels, how the stream sounds like laughter. You're struck by how normal she seems, not like a goddess destined for cosmic drama. You wonder what she dreams about, if she ever senses the underworld waiting below. The meadow feels like a bubble, fragile and temporary. The sun's dipping lower, painting everything gold. You hear a faint rumble, deep in the earth, but Persephone doesn't seem to notice. You do, though, and your stomach twists. You know what's coming, even if she doesn't. The meadow's still perfect, but it's starting to feel like a stage, and the curtain's about to fall. You take one last look at her, sprawled in the grass, and try to memorize this moment. It's the last time she'll be this free. You're still in that golden meadow, but the air's changed, thicker, sharper, like it knows something you don't. Persephone's still there, sprawled in the grass, twirling a poppy between her fingers. You're about to witness the moment everything shifts, when the earth itself betrays her. The ground trembles faintly, and you feel it in your bones. Before you can blink, the sky darkens, and a deafening crack splits the meadow. You're frozen, watching as Hades' chariot tears through the earth, and Persephone's world flips upside down. The ground gapes open, a jagged wound spewing dust and shadow. You stumble back, heart pounding, as 4 black horses burst from the chasm, their eyes like burning coals. The chariot's obsidian, gleaming with an unnatural sheen, and Hades himself grips the reins. He's not the cartoon villain you might have pictured, no red cape, no maniacal laugh. He's tall, pale, with eyes that seem to swallow light. You catch a glimpse of his expression, determined, maybe desperate, but not cruel. Still, you wouldn't want to be on his bad side. Persephone scrambles to her feet, her flowers scattering. You want to shout, to grab her arm, but you're just a ghost here. She's staring at Hades, not screaming, not running, just staring, like she's trying to solve a puzzle. The horses snort, pawing the torn earth, and you smell sulfur and something sweeter, like overripe fruit. You remember that pomegranate from the underworld, its red glow. This moment feels like its echo, like the fruit was always waiting for this. Mainstream fact: Hades' abduction of Persephone is one of the oldest Greek myths, found in the Homeric hymn to Demeter, written around the 7th century BCE. It's not just a kidnapping story, it's a myth explaining why seasons exist, tying Persephone's fate to the Earth's cycles. You watch as Hades extends a hand, his voice low, almost gentle. You can't hear the words, but Persephone's face shifts, shock, then something else. Curiosity. You're not sure, and it's maddening. Historians still argue whether Persephone went willingly or was coerced. Some ancient texts hint she wasn't entirely surprised, like she'd sensed Hades watching her before. You study her now, her hands clenched, her glow dimming slightly. She steps closer to the chariot, and you're screaming internally, "Don't do it." But she's not you. She's a goddess, and maybe she's already tired of meadows. Quirky tidbit: ancient Greeks believed Hades' horses were immortal, fed on ambrosia instead of hay. Imagine those beasts munching divine snacks while parked in the underworld's garage. You almost laugh, but the scene's too tense. The meadow's a wreck now, grass flattened, flowers crushed. You notice a single poppy clinging to Persephone's dress, like a last piece of her old life. The chariot lurches forward, and she's pulled inside, not quite resisting but not eager either. Joke time: why did Hades get a chariot? Because walking to abductions is just embarrassing. You shake your head, trying to stay focused. The earth's closing behind them, swallowing the chariot like it never happened. You're left in the meadow, alone, the silence deafening. The sky's back to blue, but it feels wrong, like a lie. You kneel, touching the cracked soil where the chasm was. It's warm, pulsing faintly, like the underworld still watching. You hear a distant cry, maybe a bird, maybe Demeter, already sensing her daughter's gone. You're tempted to follow the chariot, to dive into that darkness, but you can't. Not yet. You're stuck here, in the aftermath, where the meadow's trying to pretend nothing happened. You pick up a crushed narcissus, its petals bruised. It smells faintly of Persephone's warmth, but it's fading fast. The air's heavy again, carrying that same metallic tang you felt in the underworld. You realize this story's not just about a girl and a fruit, it's about choices that ripple forever. You glance at the sky, half expecting Hades to come back for you. He doesn't, but you feel his presence, like a shadow you can't shake. You start walking, not sure where you're going, but knowing you'll see Persephone again. The meadow's too quiet now, and you're ready for what's next. You're no longer in the meadow's fading light. Now you're above ground, but the world feels wrong, colder, brittle, like it's holding its breath. You're trailing Demeter, Persephone's mother, as she searches for her stolen daughter. The air smells of dying leaves, and the fields you pass are wilting, their colors draining away. You can feel Demeter's panic, her grief, like a weight pressing on your chest. She's not the nurturing goddess of harvest anymore, she's a mother on a mission, and you're along for the ride, watching her unravel as she hunts for clues to Persephone's fate. You follow Demeter through a village, its dirt paths empty except for a few nervous goats. She's moving fast, her golden hair tangled, her robe streaked with mud. You've never seen a goddess look so human. She stops at a well, gripping its edge, and you hear her mutter something, maybe a prayer, maybe a curse. The villagers peek from their huts, whispering. They know something's wrong, the crops are failing, and the sun feels distant. You catch their fear, like static in the air. Mainstream fact, Demeter's search for Persephone is central to the Eleusinian mysteries, secret Greek rituals promising initiates a better afterlife. Her grief was said to cause the first winter, halting growth until her daughter's fate was resolved. You see it now, the fields around you are browning, stalks bending under an unnatural frost. Demeter's power is tied to the earth, and without Persephone, it's like she's switched off the world's thermostat. Historians still argue whether Demeter's reaction was purely maternal or a power play against Zeus, who likely knew Hades' plan. Some say she was challenging the gods' hierarchy, others think it was raw love. You watch her now, her eyes scanning the horizon. She's not strategizing, she's desperate. You want to tell her Persephone's alive, sort of, but you're just a shadow, stuck in the story's flow. Quirky tidbit, ancient Greeks believed Demeter disguised herself as an old woman during her search, wandering among mortals. Imagine a goddess pulling a Clark Kent, trading her divine glow for a shawl and a limp. You spot her now, hunching slightly, blending in as she questions a shepherd. He's clueless, pointing vaguely toward the hills. You smirk, she's probably regretting not investing in divine GPS. Joke time, why was Demeter a terrible detective? Because she kept crying rivers instead of clues. You wince at your own pun, but it fits the mood. The village fades behind you as Demeter treks onward, her steps heavy. You notice the ground cracking under her feet, tiny fissures spreading like spiderwebs. It's not just sadness, it's power, leaking out, breaking the world. You're tempted to touch one, but you pull back. This isn't your fight. You pass a shrine, small and weathered, with offerings of barley and figs. Demeter pauses, her fingers brushing the stone. You catch a flicker of hope in her face, quickly snuffed out. She knows the gods aren't answering, not yet. You remember that poppy on Persephone's dress, the one that fell in the meadow. You wonder if Demeter's seen it, if it's out there somewhere, a clue she'll never find. The thought stings, and you keep moving, staying close. The sky's gray now, heavy with clouds that refuse to rain. You hear a low moan, not Demeter, but the earth itself, mirroring her pain. You're starting to feel it too, like a knot in your stomach. Every step takes you further from that meadow, from Persephone's laughter. You glance at Demeter, her face set, her eyes burning. She's not giving up, but you know this search is only half the story. That pomegranate's waiting, and you can almost taste its shadow. You reach a crossroads, where paths split toward mountains, sea, and forest. Demeter hesitates, her breath visible in the chilly air. You feel a pull, like the underworld's tugging at you, reminding you where Persephone is. Demeter doesn't know yet, but she's about to. You take one last look at the dying fields, the empty village. This world's on pause, and you're ready to see what Demeter does next. The story's moving, and you're caught in its current.